This is the third video of our Steps to Job Action 101 videos, so be sure to watch the first two videos about reaching impasse and mediation/cooling off. And now, we're going to talk about the next step, essential services.
Once we have reached impasse, mediation has failed, and the cooling off period kicks in, what happens then?
Before any strike or lockout can begin, SEIU-West and the employer must reach an essential services agreement. Essential services are services the interruption of which would endanger the life, health, or personal safety of the whole or part of the population.
What is an essential services agreement?
If SEIU and SEIU-West have not been able to reach a collective agreement and all of the legal steps have been fulfilled, including notice of impasse and mediation, this is when the union and employer are required to negotiate an essential services agreement as soon as possible. Basically, the Essential Services Agreement sets out what services must be maintained during a strike and lockout, so we must determine the duties that are essential within each classification.
Why do we have to reach this agreement?
The Saskatchewan Employment Act, or SEA, requires public employers and unions to negotiate agreements that outline essential services in the event of a strike or lockout. It is a law that we must follow.
Won't the employer just try to keep most staff at work?
That may be their strategy, but an essential services agreement should be based upon the notion that during a strike or lockout, there is no expectation of business as usual in the workplace. Rather, only those services deemed essential are continued. Let's remember, healthcare workers have the legal right to strike.
How will our SEIU-West bargaining committee choose which duties are essential and which are not?
SEIU-West will use direct input from the membership. For some time, the SEIU-West has been collecting essential services checklists from the membership. These checklists will help your bargaining committee determine what duties within each classification are necessary to enable the employer to provide essential services. We need information from members in all job classifications so we can build an accurate list of duties that need to be carried out during a potential job action. It is important to remember that certain duties may be deemed essential, but not the whole job.
What happens if our union thinks a duty is not essential, but the employer does?
You have to remember this is a negotiation, so it should come as no surprise that there will be differences of opinion as to which services are essential, the duties within each position that are necessary to provide essential services, whether the duties require members to perform them, what job classifications are needed to maintain those essential services, and how many members need to be scheduled to work to maintain essential services. If the parties are unable to reach an essential services agreement, either party can serve notice to the Saskatchewan Labour Relations Board, where an essential services tribunal will hear arguments and make a decision on what should be in the essential services agreement. The tribunal is supposed to make a decision within 60 days of the beginning of the hearing, unless the tribunal thinks they need more time.
This all sounds like it could take a long time.
Yes, our government has done all it can to make it difficult for us to take job action. There are even further complications that may affect the Essential Services Agreement. For example, if either SEIU-West or the employer believes something has changed that should result in changes to staffing levels, both parties go back to the tribunal. The tribunal will rule on whether essential services can be maintained with current levels. However, the tribunal may also consider the ability of union members to lead an effective strike. If the ability to strike is greatly interfered with, there is a section in the Saskatchewan Employment Act, or SEA, that sets out a further tribunal ruling to deal with that issue.
Wow, that is a lot of potential hurdles. What can I do to help?
SEIU-West has now served notice of impasse. We are working on our Essential Services Agreement proposals. If you haven't yet, you can fill out our Essential Services checklist here.
What can I do to make sure the government takes our job action seriously?
Things like writing letters to the Premier, protest demonstrations, letters to the editor can all be done prior to taking job action. We encourage you to keep writing and talk to your neighbors in the community about the conditions in healthcare. Our protest demonstrations are intended to garner public support. We'll be sharing more ways to get active in this process, and if you have any ideas you'd like to participate in, or if you want to hold a protest demonstration in your community, email actions@seiuwest.ca.
Thanks for the information.